Hey, what's up everyone? It's Susan from Sideshow Collectibles, and today you will be watching a review of this Hot Toys Loki from Thor the Dark World. So enjoy!
And thank you for that, Susan. And as usual, taking a look at the packaging first. As you can see, much like the Thor from the Dark World, Loki's package here nicely resembles that of Mjolnir. Now, it's kind of weird because Loki can't use the hammer, so it's kind of weird that they used the package for it, but whatever. As you can see, it says Thor the Dark World is part of their movie masterpiece series, specifically number 231. And as you can see, this is the Sideshow exclusive, but for some reason, the sticker here says Hot Toys Special Edition, which is really strange, because usually it would say Sideshow Collectibles exclusive, but I have no idea why that sticker's there this time. It is the exclusive version with the ether, but the sticker's different. But come around here to the side, it says Loki. You got this really nice metallic gold look with some absolute gorgeous detail around the sides. I mean, all of it looks terrific. You come around here to the back, you have an absolutely gorgeous image of a Tom here in the background, and I love that look. It is so wicked and so very Loki-ish. Absolutely incredible looking. And then it does just open just like kind of a shoebox, I guess. It just opens just like so. And then you can see the inside has a little section right here that again has an image of Loki sitting on what looks to be a throne, actually holding Odin's staff. That does look like it's actually Odin's throne, which is strange that they would use that image. But on this little insert, you have the cast and crew responsible for this figure, such as the creative producers, the head sculptor, head painter, things of that nature. And from the looks of it, J.C. Wong is a very busy dude. But you do have that, and then on the inside, you have the typical protective bubble that houses the figure within. Because this is the exclusive one, right here is where the extra accessory, the ether, is stored. Now this one is basically done up in, well, I mean, obviously his look in the Dark World, but it also comes with the chain that was around his neck, hands, and arms when he was first brought back to Asgard and was confronted by Odin. So that's one of the biggest accessories. All of those ones here, including the hands, his dagger, those all come with the standard version. The special edition is the only way that you could get it with the ether. But we'll touch on that here in a little bit. But packaging wise, again, absolutely gorgeous. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have Loki from Thor the Dark World opened up and out of its packaging. And it's so fun to actually revisit this character because it was a little over a year ago that I reviewed the Avenger version of Loki. And it's so cool to once again revisit it with a new figure and see what differences Hot Toys has actually done over the past year plus. But starting off first, we're going to take a look at his accessories. And like with all Hot Toy figures, you do get a few different varieties of hands. In addition to the two relaxed hands that I currently have on the figure, he comes with a both right and left hand that really do resemble what we got with the Avenger Loki. The one thing that I'm noticing, and I honestly didn't notice it at first, but I really don't care for it, is that as you can see there on his thumb, hopefully, there we go, a little bit better. You can see that he's got this thumb that's basically looks like a separate piece that's glued on there. I really dislike that. That completely destroys the look of the hands on there. And honestly, I don't think it looks good at all. That's very disappointing in terms of the hands, but they are the exact same hands, except there might be a slightly different skin tone between this one and the Avenger version. The wrist or the back of the hand guards here, those are basically the same. Slightly different paint wash on them, but the hands are exactly the same mold. And like I said, I could tell because of that weird thumb thing, which is very disappointing. He also has a right hand that is designed to actually hold his dagger, which I'll show here in a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't know if we got a similar one with the actual Avenger version. I would anticipate that we did because that version also did come with some daggers in it, so this may be a reuse as well. But again, you can see really nice detail here in terms of the paint wash and skin tone. It looks really very nice. You can actually even see like the molded fingernails in there. Don't look at my fingernails. fingernails. Look at those fingernails. And then you have a left hand that has him in this, like he's waving his hand kind of look. Really long fingers on here. That's kind of weird looking. Again, this is a similar reuse of what we got previously. So all these hands basically are just reused parts. In addition to those hands, you also get 2 additional wrist pegs, just in case you ever do break those that are already on the figure, I guess. Now for a new accessory, he comes with this really nice dagger. This is different than what we got previously. The other ones were a more silver look, but this one looks absolutely terrific. You can see a really nice reflective paint wash on there that just looks simply incredible. It really does. And then you see a very nice intricate design here on the actual handle with some great paint applications as well. I mean, simply incredible looking. If my camera would focus on it. Here, I'll pull back a little bit for you. But you can see the detail on there looks really nice. The wash job is really incredible. And you can see that the handle has a wonderful paint job as well with some bronze and black on there. Really very sharp. And then he also does come with the shackles that he wore at the beginning of the Dark World. What's really neat is that when you look closely, you can actually see some really nice writing around there. You can't make it out because I believe it's Asgardian, but I mean, absolutely wonderful detail all the way throughout. I mean, it's really sharp looking, and you can see that the writing continues on the backside as well. Now, as you can see, there are a total of 5 different sections that basically lock him up. You got a headpiece right here that goes around his neck. You got 2 smaller ones that go around his wrists, and then you got 2 larger ones down here at the bottom that are they the same size? I think they're a little bit bigger than the one for his neck. These ones go around his ankles. The problem though is that these ankle ones are not necessarily accurate. These 2 or these 3 upper ones absolutely are, but if you watch the movie, the ones that are around his ankles weren't like this. Now, it stands to reason that they would be this, but when you actually watch the movie, the ones that are on him are just regular shackles. They're not all this intricate design. They're just 2 little metal clasps that go around there. So this isn't entirely accurate. But again, you would kind of assume that they would look like the rest of them if they're all going to be connected. Some really neat looking designs here on the chain as well. It's not just a simple link. These are really intricate looking designs on the actual chains. They are die cast, and you should be careful when you're handling it so that you don't break it or anything. But I mean, really cool, unique design on those links. Again, the attention to detail that Hot Toys puts into these is really second to none. You truly do get what you pay for. Now, he also does come with his adjustable cradle with Thor the Dark World written on there. You got the name Loki, and it just has that adjustable pillar here in the back. Now, if you got this through Sideshow Collectibles, or even if you ordered it directly from Hong Kong with Hot Toys, you did get a extra accessory, that being the Ether. Now, the Ether is one of the Infinity Stones. Actually, it's the second confirmed Infinity Stone. The first one being the Tesseract, this one being the second. Now, there are speculations that the mind controlling scepter that Loki used in the Avengers actually houses the Mind Stone, which is also another Infinity Stone. So we may have seen 3, and if you've seen the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie, the 4th one was unveiled in that movie. Now, one thing that I'll say is that the Infinity Stones in the movies are not necessarily what we got in the comics. Some people thought that this would be the Power Stone, when more people nowadays are starting to think that this is the Reality Stone, especially since it was altering reality in the Dark World. So that's kind of the new train of thought. But you can see that lifting these up, you got a little bit of a handle sort of thing right there. Absolutely spectacular. And you can see just all the amazing detail in here. This is the actual container that was used when Lady Sif at the end of the Dark World took the Ether to the Collector. So it's absolutely wonderful that they thought to include an accessory like this. And I just personally love having all the Infinity Stones. I mean, this was a must-have for me when I was picking this figure up. It added an additional $10 to the price, but I did not care whatsoever. It also does light up. The battery compartment is down here. It does come with those little tiny button batteries. You flip the switch, and then you turn it on, and bling! And then you see a little bit, it's not too terribly bright, but you can see that it actually is pretty bright. It's actually pretty impressive, and then you turn it on. So, I mean, naturally, it's not something that I'm going to leave on all the time, but that just really does have an absolute cool look to it. And you can see just how bright it really gets. I mean, some angles it gets brighter than others, actually. So, I mean, you blink, blink, blink. But that's just the translucency. But you can actually leave that off and you still see that red glow coming through there just because of the translucent nature of it. But little tiny accessory, but goes a long way for really completing this figure. And if you're gonna get this, this is the particular version that I would recommend getting. As I said, it adds an additional $10 to the price, but I think it is seriously well worth getting. Considering, I think this piece alone on eBay, if you bought Loki separately and thought about adding this additionally, if you couldn't get it, I think this little piece goes for $100 alone. Now, coming to the figure himself, much like the recently re-released Black Widow from Captain America the Winter Soldier, Loki here is a very nice update to that previous version that we got from the Avengers. A lot of this look is very similar to what we got actually in parts of the actual Avengers. I mean, it's a very similar look. He's basically wearing the same kind of costume that he was wearing in that film, and in this version it just takes it a little bit more towards the accuracy level. Now, that's not to say that the Tom Hiddleston portrait or the tailoring or anything like that was bad in the Avenger one, because it really isn't, but the Dark World one just takes it a notch higher. And naturally, with the Dark World movie, the outfit and things of that nature are going to look a little bit different. So that being said, for some comparisons, we're going to bring in that Avenger Loki. Let me just position him a little bit. So here we have the Dark World version, and here we have him next to the Avenger version. Now, obviously, the outfit is a little bit different, but you can see that there is a lot of similarities. Again, looking at the skin tone, it is a little bit different on the new Dark World version. Honestly, it's got a little bit more of a flesh tone to it, which I think looks really good. And then outfit-wise, you can see that basically what we have with the Avenger one has these shoulder bits and some armor that's lacking on the Dark World version. A lot of that on this is designed to look like he did when he had his horns and things, so that more godlike character, I guess. And this is a far more modest version, I guess you could say. One thing that you're seeing though is, again, there is a dirtier, more dulled down look to a lot of the parts on here. For example, the armor. I mean, coming around here to the side, you can see that this is very similar to what we have here, but this is a lot more gold, whereas this is a much more dulled down gold. Same thing with the arm gauntlets. And then you can see that the actual clothing is a little bit different. You can see that this has still the gold bits on the outside, whereas this one has a much more blingy kind of gold bit. So a dirtier look to him, which I think really nicely shows the evolution of the actual character. This is a much more clean look, and this is a dirtier one to kind of to know what he had just went through. You can see that the underlining suit and things are very similar, a lot of similar designs in terms of the interlacing fabric and things like that. You got the sash right here with some really great detail that is lacking on here, but you're also noticing that much like Thor, he's got this grid-ish sort of armor look here that's done up in silver like Thor had on his arms, whereas this one is now gold. And again, that's just furthering that authenticity and giving a much more accurate look. I'm going to focus on the head here in just a minute, but one thing that I would like to touch on is that, again, the dirty aspect of the boots really come into play. You can see that they are a very similar look with the gold buttons on here, whereas this guy's are a much brighter gold. This is dirtier. So basically, from what I'm seeing, at least in terms of the pants, and again, the pants are different. You have that gold pleating, or not gold pleating, but that gold grid work here, whereas this guy's is actually silver, and it actually feels different. So the fabric is much more improved. One thing that I am seeing though is I do think that the boots, specifically the upper section and even the feet themselves that you can't see, there, that's a little bit better. I do think those are the exact same between the two figures, but like I said, the paint difference is really substantial. One thing that you're also seeing, and I really do love it, you got the very gold material that's on here. A lot of this is very gold, and then this just looks terrific. From one angle, it looks reddish almost, and then from another angle, looks more gold. I mean, you can see a gold look right there, and then as you flip it around, it turns reddish. So I mean, that's really absolutely stunning. I mean, you can see some of that gold there, and then again you come around here and you get that red reflection. I love that. That is absolutely wicked. And that's similar on all these parts, like these little bits that hang down here on them. I mean, it is basically the same sort of design again in terms of the jacket. He's just lacking that armor bit, that mostly on his shoulders. And now for the absolute most important part, the actual portrait. Which one here do you think looks more like Tom Hiddleston? That's basically what it's going to come down to when deciding on whether or not you want to basically rebuy the figure. For me though, this does look a lot better. There were some subtle things on here that this original version didn't have. I mean, when you look, for example, take a look here. I know that this might sound weird, but when you look at the actual hairline here, this just seems like a very rounded sort of look. It doesn't have anything spectacular going on. It's just very clean. Whereas this, you can actually see that it's different. And that really does impress me. For example, this side here actually goes back a little bit further than this one. Again, that just looks so much more realistic. The other thing that I'm really noticing is that the mouth, at least on the old version here, just has a little, I don't know. It doesn't have that actual feel, I don't think. Whereas this one just has a closer representation to Tom Hiddleston. Now, one thing that I would love them to actually do is at some point in time, give us that wicked smile that he gives us in this character of Loki. That's one of the biggest things. That instantly sells it for me. And then one thing that I'm also noticing, obviously the hair is different, but you can see that there's a little bit more in terms of the chin area and the jawline here, whereas this one doesn't really seem to have that exact same look. And I'm trying to keep them as, oh, well, no, I don't want to knock them over. I'm trying to keep them as lined up as humanly possible. But to me, the new Dark World Loki just has a better overall sculpt, and it really is very impressive. One other really cool thing that I just noticed is that there's actually a bit of a wire on the inside here, so you can sort of flare this out. It's along the inside. You can bend this out and you can position that, which I think that's actually really neat that they thought to include that. I don't know what I would use it for, because I like keeping that straight look, but it's neat that they did it nonetheless. Now, for his articulation, the head is on two different joints here. You got a neck joint, and then you've got the actual ball joint here at the upper part of the head. So nice range of motion with it, but you do want to be careful when you're rotating it around, because you can get his Adam's apple off to the side, and that kind of looks strange. The shoulders move in and out. They rotate forward and back. There is some limitation because the actual fabric, but when you're rotating it, if you grab hold of it and then rotate the actual fabric, you can get a little bit higher of a range of motion. He has two joints, I believe, here at the elbow. Kind of feels like two joints. He also rotates at the upper part of the bicep up here. He does have the full range of motion in his wrists. The waist articulation is all there. You got the upper ab crunch. You also have the lower hip section, but you can pose them a little bit like so. It does, again, slightly hamper the movement because of the actual cloth, but it's not too bad. He does rotate as well. The hips move forward, they move back, in, out. Two joints here at the knee, and then he also rotates at the upper part of the thigh. Does he rotate at the knee? No, he doesn't rotate the knee, but rotates at the ankle, forward and back, in and out, and they twist all the way around. So lots of posability in this guy, but basically the best look for him, and it's kind of weird, but it's him being all chained up. So basically the best way to do it, first remove the hands from the actual figure. Just unpeg those just like so. Set those off to the side, and then take his head off, pull it straight up. There we go. And then like I said, when you're rotating it around, you can actually get his Adam's apple kind of off to the side, which is bad. So when you're doing this, you do want to be careful. So you have these bits right here. You take this and you slide this down here, keeping the actual front section on the front of them. One thing that does worry me over time is when you're putting this on, it could actually scrape up the paint a little bit, because there is some force in doing this. So again, you just push this down, lock that down, and then when you're positioning it, it does rub a little bit. So you do want to be careful when you're doing that. With these wrists, kind of bring these up. Take these, you loop those right there, take his hand, and then you peg that back on, making sure to be careful of that actual peg. So you get that there. Take this hand as well. Oh, well, put the chain on there. I mean, come on, Paul, you're chaining them up, and then you're not even going to put the chain on there? What the heck's wrong with you? All right, so get that in there, just like so. And now the feet, this is a little bit of a pain in the butt to do because you have to pull the feet off, but just take this, give this a nice little pull, just like that. Then get the chain out from in between his legs. There we go. Pull this up, and then make sure that this is straight. Put that right there like so, and then take the foot, and then you just pop that back on the actual peg like that, and then do that on this side as well. And here you have Loki ready to confront the Allfather, Odin. As you can see though, the shackles really do add that really neat touch and screen accuracy that he had in the introduction. Even when they're redoing characters that they've done previously, they find a way to improve upon them. Much like Black Widow, Loki here's outfit is much more accurate to how it looks in the Dark World than it did in the Avengers. And I really appreciate the fact that they've taken notice of that and have given us that in terms of this figure. I will say that the accessories are a little bit light on this. And at $240, because this is the exclusive with the Ether, it's $20 more than that original Loki figure. So a year later, we can really see where the prices have unfortunately gone up. If you're a hot toy collector, I really think that this is one that a lot of you are going to like. The biggest question is, do you feel comfortable enough getting a second one? And honestly, I was in the, I don't need another one. The original one looked plenty good for me. But the changes and improvements that they've done for this one really do warrant, I think, picking up that second one. It just has a much more accurate presence than that Avenger one, and I really think that it's well worth picking up. Now, unfortunately, the actual Sideshow exclusive version with the Ether is sold out, and I think there's only a few remaining of the regular version. So if you want to get this, jump on it as soon as you possibly can. All the information will be down in the video description to go to Sideshow Collectibles, where I hope you guys can get this. If you're a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Loki is a character that everybody loves, and this figure to date is the best representation of Tom Hiddleston as Loki. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus. Don't forget that you can keep in touch with me by liking my Facebook page at facebook.com/teambotimus and by following me over on Twitter at twitter.com/Optibotimus. Also, I'd encourage you to check out my new website at optibotimusreviews.com, where you can see all my videos from the previous week, as well as see what I have coming up for future release. And finally, guys, I'd also really appreciate it that if you like this review, don't forget to please like, comment, and share this video. And until next time, I'll talk to you later.
So enjoy. Hot Toys Loki from Thor the Dark World. So